इजराइल हमास वॉर में भी अमेरिका वॉर रोकने की कोई एफर्ट्स नहीं लेगा, क्योंकि अगर वॉर होगी तो मिडिल ईस्ट में दूसरे देश जैसे सऊदी अरेबिया, यूएई इनसिक्योर महसूस करेंगे.
He's making an like insane claim. He has no idea what he's talking about.
इजराइल हमास वॉर में भी अमेरिका वॉर रोकने की कोई एफर्ट्स नहीं लेगा, क्योंकि अगर
And lies again, or lies, or he doesn't understand what he's talking about. Kamala wants to stop the war. Trump wants to kill all Arabs. Stopping the war. They both don't care for the war. They both want to stop the war. All right, all right, all right, all right. Starting.
भी कोशिश कर ले, एक देश को पीछे नहीं छोड़ सकता, और वो है अमेरिका. क्योंकि आज दुनिया में एक ही रियल सुपर पावर है, और वो है यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स ऑफ अमेरिका. और ये तख्त अमेरिका छोड़ने के लिए रेडी नहीं है. लेकिन अमेरिका का एक डार्क सीक्रेट है, जिसकी वजह से भारत तो क्या
There's a dark secret. There's a dark secret out there. We gotta check it out. We gotta
चाइना भी
check that
अमेरिका
out.
को टक्कर नहीं दे सकता. जैसे सऊदी अरेबिया के पास तेल है, वैसे ही अमेरिका के पास भी एक सीक्रेट बात है
What is
जिसे
it?
एक्सपोर्ट करके अमेरिका प्रॉफिट कमाता है, और वो सीक्रेट है वॉर.
Alright. 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 We gotta stop there, right? We gotta stop right there. I was in America for 6 years. I've heard this. It's a pro-Russian, pro-China, anti-America, basically anti-America talking point where they talk about how war is being exported by USA to control the world. It usually is wrong because people don't realize that if America stopped doing what they're doing, is supplying arms to everybody, supplying weapons, supplying ammunition to that place, whatever place they're about to talk about, whatever place they stop, China or Russia is going to move in. They also sell weapons. They also do the same thing. India does the same thing. I'm from India. We also do the same thing. And obviously, we were waiting. Everybody's waiting to sell weapons because weapons are very profitable. You can do two things at the same time. You can fund your own army and make money. It's not like you started the war. If you started the war, uh, like in Vietnam, America went in, it was wrong. In Afghanistan, they went in, it was wrong. But if you don't start the war, I don't know why it's wrong for you to profit. Like India is profiting from war in Ukraine, for war in Israel, because from Ukraine specifically, there is an embargo. There's a sanction on Russia and China, or Russian oil, not China, sorry, just Russian oil. But what India can do, and India and China can do, is they can buy that oil in cheap and then sell it in the international market. Suddenly, China and India are selling oil. How? We all know where. It's coming from Russia. And people in Europe and USA buy it because they need it. So I probably know where this is going. Is going uh is going towards USA being a proponent of war and then making profits from war. But again, it's not true. Wars just happen. People just get mad at each other. Countries get mad at each other. They start fighting, and someone has to profit. Someone has to regulate that. So USA is the biggest regulator of war. On the other side, there's dysregulators. There's Russia and China who want wars to happen. So the current superpower, who is USA, gets toppled. They can change that. Well, let's see. Let's see where he's going. Wow! Oh my
आज
gosh.
ये वीडियो रेलेवेंट इसीलिए क्योंकि
Mhm.
हमारे पड़ोसी बांग्लादेश की एक्स पीएम शेख हसीना कहती है कि अमेरिका बांग्लादेश में एक मिलिट्री बेस
Has said that a white-skinned foreign country wants to install an airbase in Bangladesh, probably USA. Let's see if they have any other foreign military bases. Military bases. List of countries with overseas. How many militaries are there in Bangladesh? Consist of that. Okay, they don't. Okay, they don't have any military bases, which is pretty cool. I thought they did have. I thought they did have a military base in Bangladesh. Let's see. Or maybe it's in Burma. Okay. So, yep. From what I know, Myanmar has a Myanmar for military base for Al Jazeera came out with a piece. Western volunteers joined the battle. Uh, what map of mm, foreign U.S. military bases? I think so. All right. So again, it's not like only USA does this. Everybody likes to do this. Who can do it more? Obviously USA, because USA is more what do you say, liberal. They're more accepting of people. They don't really go authoritarian in the sense, or respective to China. So let's see.
बनाना चाहता था और इनकार करने पर बांग्लादेश में प्रोटेस्ट शुरू हुए और रेजीम चेंज हो गई। हो सकता है ये कोइंसिडेंस हो।
That's a huge claim. That you don't have any evidence for that. You said that it might have been a coincidence. So I can just move on from that because there's no. It is true that the guy that replaced Sheikh Hasina is a Biden lover. They love him in the Democratic USA. But that's just the ending. I don't know if we can say it was done by USA, but I guess he just makes a claim. Okay.
क्या हो सकता है भारत के लिए एक वार्निंग। आज के वीडियो में समझते हैं कि अमेरिका कैसे वॉर के दौरान प्रॉफिट कमाता है, कैसे हथियार बेच बेच कर अपनी जेब भरता है और इससे हमें क्या फर्क पड़ता है। चलिए समझते हैं आज के इस वीडियो में। अगर आपको
Again, as I said, everybody in the world wants to sell weapons because weapons are that is the best way of funding your defense and having influence on the world. And it's not a unique thing that USA does. Everybody does it. Everybody loves war when it doesn't affect themselves, right? Uh, why not make money? Unless obviously you start the war, unless you do something to push people into war. That's bad. But let's see if he has, if he makes the claim or even substantiates it. See.
को भी दुनिया भर की बातें एक शॉर्ट और सिंपल तरीके से समझना पसंद है तो प्लीज चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कर दीजिए। आप में से 70%
It depends on how short and simple it is. Is it true? Do you have evidence, or
लोगों
is
ने
just
अभी भी
talking?
चैनल के
'Cause
सब्सक्राइब बटन पर क्लिक नहीं
it's
किया।
been one and
ये
a half
आपके
minutes,
लिए
but
तो फ्री है
you
लेकिन
just
इससे
talk.
हमारी बहुत हेल्प होती है। चैप्टर 1 अमेरिका की असली ताकत। अमेरिका के अपने देश के बाहर
There you
पूरी
go.
दुनिया में 750 से ज्यादा मिलिट्री बेसेस हैं।
Insane.
दुनिया के 80 देशों में और तो और अंटार्कटिका को छोड़कर हर कॉन्टिनेंट में अमेरिका की मिलिट्री आपको देखने
They have
मिलती
one in Sri
है। ये
Lanka.
ताकत अमेरिका को छोड़ के दूसरे किसी भी देश के पास नहीं।
True.
अरे लेकिन
Amazing YouTuber Ryan Macbeth said there's only one expeditionary force in the world, which is USA, meaning fight they can fight a full-fledged, full-on war from any continent. And how do they do this? Obviously, with the 750 plus bases in the world, they can resupply anywhere in the world. They can They can ration. They can gain intelligence. They can control. You need infantry. You could have the best naval force in the world. You can have the best air force in the world, but you need to have infantry, people on the ground, to control a territory. And how do you control the territory? You just don't take it over. You have to supply it with food, ammunition, intelligence. And USA is the only country that can do it fully in the whole world. And the next expeditionary force is China. It's not an expeditionary; it's like half, because they can do certain things, they can do certain continents, but they cannot do the whole world like USA can. That is one of the reasons why USA is a superpower, because they're full expeditionary war capabilities. They can fight anybody in the world from any continent.
कोई भी देश अमेरिका को अपनी धरती पर उनकी मिलिट्री रखने क्यों देता है?
Hmm.
जवाब हिस्ट्री में है।
Okay.
2 सितंबर 1940 ये एक ऐतिहासिक दिन था। वर्ल्ड वॉर टू शुरू हो चुकी थी और जर्मनी यूरोप के सारे देशों को पछाड़ रहा था। एक समय ऐसा लग रहा था कि जर्मनी पूरी दुनिया पर कब्जा जमा लेगा। यूरोप के देश वन बाय वन जर्मनी के कब्जे में आ रहे थे। 1940 में हुआ ये कि फ्रांस ने जर्मनी और इटली के सामने घुटने टेक दिए। यूके अकेला पड़ गया था, लेकिन ग्रेट ब्रिटेन हारने वालों में से नहीं था। इसीलिए 2 सितंबर 1940 को ब्रिटेन और अमेरिका के बीच एक डील हुई। इस डील को कहते हैं डिस्ट्रॉयर्स फॉर बेसिस डील। ये डील हुई अमेरिका के फ्रैंकलिन रूजवेल्ट और विंस्टन चर्चिल के बीच। इस डील में ऐसा कहा गया कि अमेरिका उनके ऐसे बड़े बड़े डिस्ट्रॉयर जहाज यूके को देगा और बदले में यूके उन्हें उनके कुछ लैंड पर अपने मिलिट्री बेसिस बनाने देगा। लेकिन बात सिर्फ मिलिट्री बेसिस तक लिमिटेड नहीं थी। इस डील के थ्रू इन अ वे ब्रिटेन अपनी कॉलोनीज का कुछ हिस्सा अमेरिका को 99 सालों के लिए बेचने वाला था। और इस डील में ऐसा लिखा गया है कि अमेरिका को इसके लिए कोई भी रेंट देने की जरूरत नहीं है। इस डील के बाद जमैका, बहामास, ट्रिनिडाड में अमेरिका ने अपने मिलिट्री बेसिस बनाए और ऐसा करते करते अमेरिका ने प्रोटेक्शन के नाम पे दूसरे देशों से भी ऐसी ही कुछ डील की। वर्ल्ड वॉर 2 खत्म।
He said protection, but you gotta understand, makes it sound very exploitatory. Like USA saw a deal, they wanted to get in, so they were like, "Oh, Britain, if you give me this 3 pieces of land and some land in Britain, I'll help you, or I won't." That's not how it happened. They got attacked. USA got attacked by Japan. They entered the war, and I just watched a movie recently which explained this exactly. It was called uh, Ministry of the Ungentlemanly Tactics or Military Division or whatever, where they showed Britain was the only European country left free from Nazi rule, but they were getting bombed every day. They had zero chance of winning. But Winston Churchill, being a person, he's a conflicted figure, especially as an Indian. I have, you know, complex views on him, but this guy, he wanted to fight. Everybody in his ministry wanted to. Every one of the execs, every politician wanted to surrender to the Nazi rule. But Winston Churchill thought or knew that if he surrendered, it would not be the end of it, because he's seen the other countries, and as such, he didn't surrender. He chose to fight. He joined hands with America, and you understand that these destroyers are top class technologies. You just don't want to hand it over to other militaries. Meaning, if USA doesn't have any bases in Britain, the destroyers can't go there and refuel, ration, resupply, and then go back. They would need to they would need to rely on the British government, which is not exactly, I would say, logical even, because you want your people you train, doing everything. You don't want to rely on a foreign government. You don't want to hope for any blunders. Thus, they probably said, "We can give you protection. We can resupply you. We can fight with you in this war. If you give us some land, it's probably like minimum amount of land. then they just need to resupply the destroyers. It's not exploratory. Again, they're not doing it for fun. This is for protect. This is not for protection. It is for protection. They needed to win that war, and that was the only way, was the help from America. And those three islands that he showed, Jamaica,
करते
Bahamas,
करते
and
जमेगा
Trinidad, is everything is in the region of America. It's not near Britain. It's not in a different continent. It's right below them. So obviously, I don't know what happened here, but again, this is for their own protection. This is for US's protection. They kept it to protect USA. China has a base in Cuba. So makes it sound exploratory. Again, it was a mutual agreement. He didn't say this, but again, UK has bases in America. It's a relation. It's a mutual agreement. It's to help each other, not exploiting. They're not taking it because of war. Hitler started the war. UK were the innocent people. Europe was the innocent people. USA was the helper. He was the hero that helped them take over the Nazis and liberate those people. Or more Jews have died. More Europeans would have died. More Soviets would have died. Probably he would have moved on to Africa. Whatever, we don't know. USA was the hero in that war. Not they they didn't do it because they got like 3 acres of land, three bases in UK for protection. It was for protection. It was like they literally saved humanity.
बहामास ट्रिनिडाड में अमेरिका ने अपने मिलिट्री बेसेस बनाए और ऐसा करते करते अमेरिका ने प्रोटेक्शन के नाम पे दूसरे देशों से भी ऐसी ही कुछ डील की। वर्ल्ड वॉर 2 खत्म होते होते 1945 में अमेरिका हर महीने 112 बेसेस बनाए जा रहा था।
That 112 bases, where though? Was it in USA? Is he counted the ones in the USA and the ones outside? There's only 750 bases outside. So if there were like 112 bases every day, 750. He said every day, so it's just a week.
आज की घड़ी में सिचुएशन ऐसी है कि अमेरिका को खुद को पता ही नहीं 112 बेसेस बनाए जा रहा।
So they made all the bases they have today in 7 months? No, he's just, again, misrepresenting the number. 120 bases, military bases per month. A large proportion is probably in America or UK. They're allies in the world. In other, like Jamaica and those islands that they just got.
आज की घड़ी में सिचुएशन
Again, he makes it sound exploratory.
ऐसी है कि अमेरिका को खुद को पता नहीं है कि उनके टोटल कितने मिलिट्री बेसेस हैं, या फिर आप कह सकते हैं कि ये नंबर इतना बड़ा है कि वो डिस्क्लोज करना नहीं चाहते। लेकिन डेविड वाइन नाम के एक रिसर्चर ने उनके बेसेस को ट्रैक किया और छोटे बड़े हर बेस की एक लिस्ट बनाई। पता चला कि यूरोप की तरह जापान, ऑस्ट्रेलिया, पाकिस्तान जैसे देशों में अमेरिका की मिलिट्री तैनात है। ये था अमेरिका का मास्टर स्ट्रोक, जिसकी वजह से अल्टीमेटली वो एक सुपर पावर बन गया। ब्रिटेन जैसे यूरोपियन देशों ने दूसरे देशों में अपनी कॉलोनीज बनाकर अपना एम्पायर बनाया था। अमेरिका ने मिलिट्री बेसिस बनाकर अपना एम्पायर खड़ा किया। अमेरिका ने वो
Again, what does he prove by that? Yes, let's say
एम्पायर बनाया था। अमेरिका ने मिलिट्री बेसिस बनाकर अपना
let's say they have military bases. What are they doing? Are they taking them over? No, it's probably mainly intelligence. The only takeovers of military are in South Korea and Japan. Or Japan has their own army. South Korea doesn't, because they have North Korea up there and China up there. South Korea signed nuclear non-proliferation. South Korea signed the nuclear non-proliferation proliferation. Fuck my life. Nuclear proliferation. Proliferation. Again, South Korea is the only place where they have like take over the whole country, basically their army, their training, their intelligence, everything, because they have North Korea to the north of them and China right around them. And also they signed a nuclear non-proliferation treaty to make sure that they never get nuclear weapons. They don't develop nuclear weapons. The same thing is for Japan. They're not going to have any nuclear weapons, and then probably the same thing from all these other countries. So they stop countries from getting nuclear weapons in exchange for protection. They'll have their bases, they'll fund the military, they'll fund all this, the intelligence, the protection of that land, just so there's less nuclear weapons in the world. Obviously, more nuclear weapons fight the hegemony of USA, but it also can get into the wrong hands, like Iran. Iran can have uh, like a religious delusion and can destroy the world tomorrow if they get nuclear weapon, obviously. So again, makes it sound exploratory, but it's kind of protectionary. It's kind of protecting the world.
एम्पायर खड़ा किया। अमेरिका ने वर्ल्ड वॉर की आपदा को अवसर बनाया, जो तीसरी वर्ल्ड वॉर के बगैर भारत को तो छोड़िए चाइना को भी पॉसिबल नहीं है। अमेरिका की इस स्ट्रेटजी को कहते हैं स्फीयर ऑफ इन्फ्लुएंस, जिससे अमेरिका आज दुनिया भर
He's right on that. World wars were a huge thing. Trade goes down, everything stops, people are dying. The only only country to not lose people in that war was USA, or like not lose civilians, factories, all that was the North American hemisphere, probably South American hemisphere too, but Canada and USA is what I'm talking about. They probably made the most money from the war. It is true, which is huge because everybody else is declining while you are the only thing that's going up. Your people are safe, nobody's getting harmed. Your factories are going, your people are living the lifestyle, and you're developing the biggest, baddest weaponry in the world, which is hard. It probably doesn't the chance to do that doesn't come back until World War III, which is we don't want. So USA is probably going to stay the world superpower.
में अपनी मनमानी करता है। अमेरिका के बेसेस दो तरह के होते हैं। बड़े बेसेस को लिटिल अमेरिका कहते हैं, जहां अमेरिकन स्कूल्स होते हैं, वहां के घर भी अमेरिकन घरों की तरह दिखते हैं, और तो और वहां आपको अमेरिकन रेस्टोरेंट्स जैसे टाको बेल भी देखने मिलेगा। छोटे बेसेस को लिली पैड्स कहते हैं। ये नाम सुनने में काफी इनोसेंट लगता है, लेकिन यहाँ भी डेंजरस ड्रोन्स होते हैं। कोल्ड वॉर के दौरान जब अमेरिका को लगा
dangerous drones. I mean, what else kind of drones would you have? Like funny drones? Why is he so dismissive of military stuff? Like he doesn't understand military or how things happen, how the world war is kept. Like it just like works with like handshakes or something. You need dangerous things to keep peace.
नॉर्थ कोरिया बहुत ज्यादा कम्युनिस्ट बन रहा है, उन्होंने साउथ कोरिया में अपने बेसेस यूज किए और उन
No, again, what?
बेसिस के बलबूते पर साउथ कोरिया को स्ट्रांग बनाया। वियतनाम वॉर भी
Again, sounds amazing. As I said, they signed the non-proliferation treaty. They had the threat of communist North Korea taking over. I think that was a huge war, and USA helped them because South Korea couldn't do it on their own. USA helped them. They made some bases in there. Why does he like want it to be exploitative? It's not. They helped each other. South Korea couldn't defend. There's China that's helping North Korea. North Korea is only focused on making weapons, making nuclear weapons, making people's lives hell. USA came in, saved these people. Mutual agreement.
बेसिस यूज किए और उन बेसिस के बलबूते पर साउथ कोरिया को स्ट्रांग बनाया।
Again, he's saying the same thing. They strengthened them, but in a negative tone. I don't know why. Let's keep
वियतनाम
going.
वॉर भी कुछ ऐसे ही हुई, लेकिन
Okay,
वियतनाम वॉर में
Vietnam
अमेरिका
War.
बुरी तरह से हार गया। अफगानिस्तान में अमेरिका 20 सालों के लिए था, और छोटे कमजोर देशों को तो छोड़िए, जापान और जर्मनी में आज भी अमेरिका के 100 से ज्यादा बेसेस हैं। कोल्ड वॉर के दौरान अमेरिका के 1600 बेसेस हुआ करते थे। अब कोल्ड वॉर खत्म होते होते ये नंबर आधा हुआ है, लेकिन इजराइल हमास कॉन्फ्लिक्ट और रशिया यूक्रेन कॉन्फ्लिक्ट के बाद ये नंबर जल्द ही बढ़ने वाला है। अमेरिका की असली ताकत ये है कि वो सिर्फ अपनी बॉर्डर्स पर नहीं, अपने बॉर्डर्स के बाहर भी अपनी पावर जताता है। अमेरिका को सुपर पावर बनाने का एक और रीजन है उसकी करेंसी।
Again, he's making the yeah. Again, USA did this during war, conflict, and India doesn't have the same route. I would say India can't do the same thing because they want to keep. India is doing a brilliant strategy of neutrality, where all the hegemonies are fighting each other. There's the axis of USA, like Pan America, Europe, and America. On the other side, there's Russia, China, Iran, North Korea. Those people, they keep fighting each other. They have to make a whole new system to fight each other, to keep free from each other. And yet they still use each other. Like China is a big trading partner for America. Russia is a big oil partner for Europe. They work with each other, but they don't let other countries work with them. Like sanctions are usually not meant for USA doesn't care. They buy Russian oil if they could. Europe wants to buy Russian oil when they can, but it's sanctioned on other spheres of influence. Yes, now he's on a point where uh, bigger countries like USA and China use their influence. Like China uses their influence on Africa to exploit their labor, not let America in, or USA uses their influence to sanction smaller countries from buying this oil, while on the other hand, buying oil from them. Europe does that. So that is a huge problem that aligned countries have to go through, where India, as a non aligned country, friend of all, enemy of none, can buy oil from whatever markets they want to. They can also be used as a funnel to create markets between these two different worlds. So I think he we can't do the same thing with that USA did, but we are doing a brilliant thing where we are, while everybody is going into recessions, they're going into decline, they're going into wars. The only thing we see is progress. The only other brilliant country that probably does this is China. They use their own military might to take over the world, weakening US's sphere of influence, creating their own, while being trading partners with the whole world. That's also kind of brilliant. Okay, doesn't sound bad. Uh, or we don't want to do the same thing. We don't want to take over people's countries. We don't want to do expeditionary wars, kick out governments. So I agree with him on that. That we don't want to do the same thing. We are not doing the same thing, and that's cool. But I disagree with if we might. I disagree with that taking this path of neutrality. We might not become a superpower. We will never become a superpower. I think that's wrong because these two worlds are going to go to war with each other one day. They're going to ruin each other one day. And if we can keep neutrality and keep defense up, we'll be the only country living.
यानी यूएस डॉलर अमेरिका को एक सुपर पावर कैसे बनाता है?
And US dollar is ruling the world. Again, BRICS came up with their own currency to BRICS are you trying to use their own currencies to fight that. Saudi Arabia, not Saudi Arabia, I'm sorry. Yeah, Saudi Arabia with India and other countries are trying to break off these networks of dollar because when again, as he said, when USA wants to sanction somebody, they just sanction them, which means USA dollar cannot be used to buy those goods, those services, those markets. But if they wish, they go for it, right? And it's India needs to get out of the dollar chain. The world needs to get out of this USA dollar chain because it's kind of stupid.
इसके बारे में अगर आप जानना चाहते हैं तो ये वीडियो जरूर देखिए। चैप्टर 2 वॉर से प्रॉफिट। अमेरिका के लिए एक सुपर पावर बनना जितना डिफिकल्ट था, उससे भी ज्यादा डिफिकल्ट इस सुपर पावर के तख्त को संभालना है, क्योंकि इतने सारे मिलिट्री बेसेस को मेंटेन करना, वहां की आर्मी को सैलरीज देना, वहां एडवांस वेपन्स रखना, ये सब महंगा होता है। पिछले साल 2023 में अमेरिका का डिफेंस बजट $916 बिलियन था। उनके टोटल बजट का 13% हिस्सा डिफेंस के लिए जाता है। दुनिया का 40% मिलिट्री स्पेंडिंग सिर्फ एक देश अमेरिका करता है। हाँ, आज अमेरिका से डायरेक्टली कोई पंगे नहीं लेता। उसकी बॉर्डर पर जैसे हमारे बॉर्डर पर है, वैसे कोई हॉस्टाइल देश है ही नहीं। तो इतना सारा मिलिट्री स्पेंडिंग अमेरिका जस्टिफाई कैसे करता है? ये पैसा आता कहां से? मिलिट्री इंडस्ट्रियल कॉम्प्लेक्स से। दुनिया की अमेरिका
again,
जस्टिफाई कैसे करता है? ये पैसा आता कहां से? मिलिट्री इंडस्ट्री
I don't know where he's about to go next, but from what I've heard, while I was in USA, military industrial complex is used by the left, the far left, to like as an anti-capitalistic uh, talking point, where somehow they justify military as being like the evil of the world. It depends. I mean, there is criticism of the military industrial complex, but I don't know if he's gonna go into those. I don't know them, but but I know which ones are bad. So let's see which one he talks
इंडस्ट्रियल
about.
कॉम्प्लेक्स है। दुनिया की टॉप 5 हथियार बनाने वाली कंपनीज अमेरिकन कंपनीज है। उनके
Hmm.
नाम आप वीडियो पॉज करके यहाँ पढ़ सकते हैं। ये कंपनीज अमेरिकन पॉलिटिशियंस को फंड करती है और बदले में उनसे ये बात चाहती है कि वॉर रुकनी नहीं चाहिए। इस
He, I, USA is a democracy.
कंपनीज अमेरिकन कंपनीज है। उनके नाम आप वीडियो पॉज करके यहाँ पढ़ सकते हैं। ये कंपनीज अमेरिकन पॉलिटिशियंस को फंड करती है और बदले में उनसे ये बात चाहती है कि वॉर रुकनी नहीं चाहिए। इस इमेज को देखिए।
No, uh, there's a highly uneducated guess or take. I don't know what kind of research he did, where he came up with this take, but America being pro-war is stupid. It's not reality. It goes against the whole American politics. And I'm sure the American companies that he listed and all the other defense companies want war to keep happening, so they keep making money. I understand that. As evil as it sounds, is just capitalism. If you're gonna fight, might as well use my weapons. Is it evil? I don't think so. Again, you shouldn't induce war, but I don't think these companies are inducing wars. On the other hand, he just said the politicians are funded by these companies to keep the war going. That's far from the reality. Where when Vietnam War happened, they did lose like disgusting. But people in America started anti-war sentiments, anti-war rallies. Given it was just kids and like special groups, but when they did lose, it became a reality. People did accept anti-war, where they realized that we just went into Vietnam uh, for our whims. They made a mistake. They understood from it. They moved on. They remembered it. And echoes of those also were the echoes of those were reinforced in Afghanistan, where they went in again, tried to do a good thing, turned out to a bad thing. They kept fighting for 20 years. It was stupid. But America is not inherently anti-war. There's people. These are democracies. People vote in here, and people do tend to go anti-war when they can. Like in Ukraine, anti-war. What does that mean? Anti-war means funding Ukraine. In Israel, what does anti-war mean? That y- Netanyahu needs to stop. And these are big political realities in America. They talk about this. They support this. It's not like America. Again, America is not just five groups of people. Those companies. America is a democracy, and they need votes. The politicians need votes to get in. And the sentiment today is highly anti-war. Highly don't get involved in anybody's mess, such as Israel. Don't get into their mess. Ukraine. 50% of the Americans probably want to pull out of Ukraine. The morality being a different thing, they want to pull out of the war there. So he makes it sound it's just five groups of people that fund politicians, and politicians on their own keep the war going. That's not how democracies work. Democracies work on people's vote, and people are anti-war in America. People are conscious of where they're going to fight. People are conscious of who they're going to supply. And I think biggest arms buyers in the world. Again, as France, key suppliers to India, collectively accounting for 46%. India's main supplier accounting for 36. Arm. Look, they're 46%. India is the largest arms importer in the world, not at war, just for security. And who do we buy arms from? 46% of it comes from USA and France. Comes from Russia, comes right? Those three countries. We're not at war. And I think uh USA is the biggest government of America is the biggest buyer of these technologies, of these ammunitions, of these technologies. So when he makes it sound that $916 billion are used to fund wars around the world, is kind of wrong. It's used to fund the 750 bases in the world which are not at war with anybody, because Afghanistan just pulled out. They were at war with Afghanistan. They just pulled out, meaning I don't think they have any active wars that they are directly connected to. Their people are not going and fighting anybody right now. So makes no sense. Again, second thing, India is the largest importer of arms. India is not going through any wars. Something to think about. So there's no direct evidence that USA is funding war and USA is propagating war and funding themselves from it. They are the biggest buyers of their own weapons for their bases around the world and selling it to India and selling it to other countries that need it. Again, if USA was not doing it, we would need to go to other places. If USA pulls out of those 750 bases, that area just doesn't become peaceful. Other people move in. Russia moves in. China moves in. So it's just a choice between Russia, China, or USA. I would choose USA over it. I would choose India over it. If India can become an expeditionary force with their culture, with their norms, I would be happy. That would be the best case scenario for the world. Again, but it's the choice between USA or China, Russia. I would choose USA.
ये है अमेरिका का आयरन ट्रायंगल, जिसके 3 हिस्से हैं। स्पेशल इंटरेस्ट ग्रुप, जहां ये सारी कंपनीज आती है, डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ डिफेंस, जो इन कंपनी से हथियार खरीदते हैं, और कांग्रेस, यानी वो सारे
There you go. Department of Defense are the people who buy the most amount of weapons from these companies.
कैंडिडेट्स, जिन्हें कैंपेन के वक्त फंडिंग की जरूरत होती है। इस ट्रायंगल के तीनों पॉइंट्स एक दूसरे की मदद करते हैं और बदले में एक दूसरे से फेवर्स चाहते हैं। स्पेशल इंटरेस्ट ग्रुप्स यानी वेपन्स इंडस्ट्री कैंडिडेट्स की कैंपेन्स को फंड करती है। फॉर एग्जांपल 2016 के इलेक्शन में लॉकहीड मार्टिन नाम की एक कंपनी ने डेमोक्रेटिक कैंडिडेट्स को इन टोटल $1.2 मिलियन फंड किए। लेकिन इंटरेस्टिंग बात क्या है पता है? एट द सेम टाइम उन्होंने रिपब्लिकन कैंडिडेट्स को $1.9 मिलियन दिए थे। यानी दोनों साइड के कैंडिडेट्स को एक ही मोटिव से फंड किया गया था। जीत कर कोई भी क्यों ना आए, हथियारों का प्रोडक्शन रुकना नहीं चाहिए, हथियारों की डिमांड रुकनी नहीं चाहिए, वॉर रुकनी नहीं चाहिए। ये फंडिंग एक इंसेंटिव बन
He says that, but he hasn't shown any link of except the first claim where Sheikh Hasina was being cooed by the USA government to install a puppet. No strong evidence for that. Nothing he said up till now, till 8 minutes, proved that USA is funding war. And when the case is that India and USA itself is the biggest buyer of those things, is the biggest buyer of those weapons. They're not involved in any active war. So he's making a claim that is unsubstantiated and probably untrue.
बनती है जब उनके कैंडिडेट्स चुनकर आते हैं, डिफेंस बजट को पुश करते हैं, जिनसे अल्टीमेटली वेपन्स इन्हीं कंपनी से खरीदे जाते हैं। यानी जितनी ज्यादा वॉर्स होंगी उतना ही ये ट्रायंगल स्ट्रॉन्ग बनता जाएगा, उतने ही शेयर के प्राइसेस बढ़ेंगे और कैंपेन्स में उतना ही ज्यादा पैसा आएगा। और ये किसी एक प्रेसिडेंट या किसी एक पॉलिटिशियन की बात नहीं है, ये पूरे के पूरे अमेरिका की स्ट्रैटेजी है। 1970s में वैसे कहा जाए तो अमेरिका के बेसेस पूरी दुनिया भर में पहुंच चुके थे, लेकिन फिर भी अमेरिका हर जगह तो नहीं हो सकता। जहां अमेरिकन बूट्स नहीं हो सकते वहां अमेरिकन वेपन्स हो सकते हैं, यानी जहां अमेरिकन सोल्जर्स नहीं थे वहां अमेरिकन वेपन्स भेजे जा सकते हैं। इस अमेरिकन स्ट्रैटेजी को कहते हैं निक्सन डॉक्ट्रिन। अमेरिका ने कंट्रोवर्शियल देशों को वेपन्स बेचना स्टार्ट किया, जिसमें ईरान भी शामिल है। वही ईरान जिसके ड्रोन्स आज इजराइल पर अटैक करते हैं, उन्हें हथियार पहुंचाने की पहल अमेरिका ने ही की थी। ईरान के ड्रोन वॉरफेयर के बारे में हमने इस वीडियो में बात की। जिसके पास पैसा है और जिससे अमेरिका को इमीडिएट डेंजर नहीं है, वैसे हर देश को अमेरिका हथियार बेचता है, फिर वो डेमोक्रेसी हो या ना हो। ये डेटा देखिए, दुनिया भर में 160 से ज्यादा देश अमेरिकन हथियार खरीदते हैं और इसमें इराक, लिबिया, यमन, सूडान जैसे देश भी शामिल है। शर्त बस इतनी ही रहती है कि आप अमेरिकन इंटरेस्ट संभालो, अमेरिका के दुश्मनों से ज्यादा दोस्ती मत करो, अपने आप में झगड़ते रहो, वॉर रुकने मत दो, बस हमसे पंगे मत लो। यानी अमेरिका ने खुद के लिए एक ऐसा वॉर मशीन बनाया है जो उसके सुपर पावर स्टेटस को ताकत देता है।
So he's claiming that USA sells weapons to Yemen. Let's see. Arms supplied by UK, US killed civilians in Yemen, reports say. Weapons supplied by United Kingdoms and United States and used by Saudi-led coalition fighting in war-torn Yemen killed at least 87 civilians and wounded 136 others in just over a year, new report said Wednesday. The report by Oxfam charity found that Saudi-led coalition used weapons supplied solely by UK and US in hundreds of attacks on civilians in Yemen between... Yeah. So, wait. Did he make the claim again? Let's see.
अपने आप में झगड़ते रहो, वॉर रुकने मत दो, बस। यमन, सूडान जैसे देश 60 से ज्यादा देश अमेरिकन हथियार खरीदते हैं और इसमें इराक, लिबिया, यमन,
Iraq, Libya, Sudan, and Yemen. Yemen is the most suspect, but let's check Sudan. Sudan. Hmm. So this is the latest report, and this video is not that old. It came 4 days ago. So a new so he should know this. He should know that these weapons don't come directly from U.S. It's either captured weapons, like in Afghanistan. They left a whole U.S. base as is. They didn't have time. They didn't have time to take all the weapons, ammunitions, all the systems. So let's see. The news report from Amnesty International has found that weapons and military hardware from Russia, China, Turkey, and the UAE are being imported in large quantities into Sudan and diverted into Darfur despite a mandatory United Nations Security Council's arms embargo from 2004. When they say US, so when they say UN, it basically means US and the European Union doesn't want you to do something. So according to here, nearly all neighboring countries are used by various armed groups and states to supply light weapons and to grade. Before I did want to say this, but he's lying here. We just checked two of the countries, Yemen and Sudan. Yemen directly attacked U.S. ships. I don't think they would sell weapons. It would it would be antithetical to their own goal of surviving as a country or being a world hegemony. So yeah, we just checked two of the countries, Yemen and Sudan, are not being given weapons by USA, yet it's claimed here.
ईरान जैसे देश भी शामिल है।
So he's
शर्त बस इतनी
lying.
ही रहती है कि आप अमेरिकन इंटरेस्ट संभालो, अमेरिका
Hmm.
के दुश्मनों से ज्यादा दोस्ती मत करो, अपने
No,
आप में
come on.
झगड़ते रहो, वॉर रुकने मत दो, बस हमसे पंगे मत लो। यानी अमेरिका ने खुद के लिए एक ऐसा वॉर मशीन बनाया है जो उसके सुपर पावर स्टेटस को ताकत देता है। चैप्टर 3 भारत के लिए लेसन्स। वीडियो की शुरुआत में मैंने कहा था कि भारत अमेरिका जैसा सुपर पावर नहीं बन सकता, क्योंकि रियलिटी यही है कि सुपर पावर बनने के लिए सैक्रिफाइसेस लगते हैं, और अक्सर ये सैक्रिफाइसेस इनोसेंट लाइव्स के सैक्रिफाइसेस होते हैं। हर सुपर पावर किसी ना किसी को अपने पैरों तले रोंद कर ही सुपर पावर बनी है, यही सच्चाई है। फ्रैंकली स्पीकिंग,
I support that. I understand, and again, I love the separate path taken by Modi as a way to superpower, where we become a cultural superpower that helps people. People come to us because they trust us more than they trust the other superpower. Would love to be that kind of superpower. We don't need to follow the USA or China, Russia in doing what they are doing. It's okay, but he made it sound very negative. Uh, what's being done by the USA government. And I don't think he substantiated that. Even if it's true, he didn't substantiate this. Basically, there were like a couple of lies in the video and a lot of like conclusions without evidence. It's a pretty low quality video. I'm not, except one thing, the USA or India shouldn't follow US's steps. I agree with
ऐसी
that.
सुपर पावर बनना हमारा एम होना भी नहीं चाहिए। हमारा फोकस हमारे खुद के प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करने पर होना चाहिए। एक
Agree.
सुपर पावर नहीं, एक ग्रेट पावर बनने पर होना चाहिए। एक ग्रेट पावर वो होती है जिसकी बात दूसरे देश सुनते हैं। दुनिया में कुछ भी हो, हम हमारी जनता और हमारी इकोनॉमी को सेफ रखें, इतना ही इंपॉर्टेंट है। एक सुपर पावर पैसे
I agree with the sentiment he's coming over, but that has warped his understanding of the world or like how things happen. Um, and that led him to lie. I don't care about the underlying message here. The underlying message is really positive, and it is true. Like we shouldn't be a superpower like the other superpowers, but doesn't mean we lie. Doesn't mean we like hint to things. I think you should do better than that for your
से
audience.
होने के बावजूद खुद के सारे प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व नहीं कर सकती। फॉर एग्जांपल, अमेरिका ने 9/11 के बाद $6 ट्रिलियन डिफेंस पर स्पेंड किए। ये इतने पैसे हैं कि इन सारे पैसों से वो खुद के होमलेसनेस के प्रॉब्लम को सॉल्व कर सकते थे, लेकिन
Those are two different budgets. I've heard this same argument being made in America, where if we take the $6 trillion in defense and put it into homelessness, we can solve it. First, I don't want to get into this. Homelessness is a really complicated issue. It's not taken care of just by money, but obviously $6 trillion would help. He said he said $6 trillion defense. You understand? Like the world trade economy collapsed on that day. These are the leaders. A lot of countries depend on America's economy. If America's economy goes down, a lot of people don't eat. A lot of people die in other countries like Philippines and India. A lot of things. So them spending money on defense is not the same thing as them spending money on war. This is to protect their own people. This is what you advocated for. This is you advocated for our own safety. And uh if we were getting terrorist attack every day or every year or every 5 years even, whatever it is, it would not be a good place to live in. So I don't know why you would bash the $6 trillion in defense, because they need to have a country to solve the homelessness initiative. And again, he's not saying this here, but they're also spending. They can chew gum and walk at the same time. They spent $6 trillion in the defense budget, but they also spend a lot of money to solve homelessness. Let's check how much money they spent from 9/11. 9/11 was in 9/11 year. So 2001. How much money does USA spend in defense? Defense. Oh, sorry, homelessness. he fails to mention that they also spend a lot of money, like billions of dollars, to solve homelessness. Is an homelessness is not an easy issue to solve. That's not the point here. The point here is to obfuscate. They want to confuse you. Like, oh wow, if they can spend $6 trillion on defense, why don't they spend that much on the homelessness issue? It's a confusion. They're already spending money on the homelessness issue. It's not getting better. Putting $6 trillion more in would not be the right thing to do. They would need more research. They should spend money on research, which they're already doing. It's already happening. They can protect themselves and solve the homelessness issue at the same time. It's going to be the case for any capitalistic society or any society in real. If there's winners, there's going to be losers. The only things we should be focusing on is to have the least amount of losers with the most amount of winners, obviously. And USA has that. The homeless issue might be really bad, but they have some of the most powerful people. They have some of the richest middle class people in the world, and that accounts for something. So stop obfuscating by saying
ये
this.
इतने पैसे हैं कि इन सारे पैसों से वो खुद के होमलेसनेस के प्रॉब्लम को सॉल्व कर सकते थे, लेकिन उन्होंने वॉर
Like, I don't know how he came on to the conclusion, and if he's a scientist and if he can really solve the issue, go to America. They would give you this money.
के इस मशीन को चालू रहने देना सही समझा। ये है एक सुपर पावर
Conclusions without facts.
बनने का डार्क सीक्रेट। हमें हॉलीवुड की मूवीज में हमेशा दिखाते हैं कि अमेरिका कितना नेक है, बट दैट इज फार फ्रॉम द ट्रूथ। अब तक हमने यही समझा कि अमेरिका एक मिलिट्री सुपर पावर कैसे बना। वर्ल्ड वॉर 2 में अलाइड फोर्सेस की हार, दुनिया भर में अपने मिलिट्री बेसिस, इन बेसिस को फंड करने के लिए एक रोबस्ट डिफेंस मैन्युफैक्चरिंग इंडस्ट्री और उनके हथियार खरीदने के लिए दुनिया भर के क्लाइंट्स। ये अमेरिका की स्ट्रैटेजी फ्लॉलेस है। इसीलिए 2022 में जब कोविड की वजह से अमेरिकन इकोनॉमी सफर कर रही थी, तब रशिया ने यूक्रेन पर अटैक किया और अमेरिका देखता
That's not true. That's not what happened. What?
रहा, क्योंकि इस अटैक से ये अश्योर हो गया कि अमेरिका को आने वाले कुछ सालों के लिए एक क्लाइंट मिल गया। इजराइल हमास वॉर में भी अमेरिका वॉर
No, it's insane. I'm gonna let him make the point, and then I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say because I was there in USA for 60 years. I was there when those two wars started. I I was in the political reality there. I was in the struggle there. I'm gonna let him finish, but
रोकने के कोई एफर्ट्स नहीं लेता, क्योंकि अगर वॉर होगी लिए एक क्लाइंट मिल गया। इजराइल हमास वॉर में भी अमेरिका वॉर रोकने के कोई एफर्ट्स नहीं लेता, क्योंकि अगर वॉर होगी तो मिडिल ईस्ट में दूसरे देश जैसे सऊदी अरेबिया, यूएई इनसिक्योर महसूस करेंगे।
he's making an like insane claim. He has no idea what he's talking about. When the Hamas Israel war started, USA wants to stop it. 50% of uh, yes, 50% of the Americans, the Democrats support stopping of the war or limiting of the war to just defense. Keep it to yourselves, Israel. You have a right to live there, but stop attacking these people. Give them freedom. And supported by the uh, Democratic side of the country. On the other side, they're murderers. Like they're murderous people. The Republicans. Unlimited. They support unlimited freedom for the Israeli government to do whatever they want. And the situation became worse and worse when Republicans stopped Joe Biden and they undermined Joe Biden. They wanted to show the world that Joe Biden is a clown, and thus they let things happen. On the other side, Republicans support the war in Israel, and they wanted to undercut Joe Biden. That's the reason that they still have war in Israel. But it is counteracted by the fact that Kamala Harris came on and said, we support Israel and its right to be there in the Middle East, but they do need to shut the fuck up and chill out. So it goes against his point. And I think he's about to talk about
और
Ukraine.
अल्टीमेटली अमेरिका से ही वेपन्स खरीदेंगे। अमेरिका यही चाहता है। अरेबिया में भी अमेरिका, बट दैट इज फार फ्रॉम द ट्रूथ। अब तक हमने यही समझा कि अमेरिका एक मिलिट्री सुपर पावर कैसे बना। वर्ल्ड वॉर 2 में अलाइड फोर्सेस की हार, दुनिया इंडस्ट्री और उनके हथियार खरीदने के लिए दुनिया भर के क्लाइंट्स। ये अमेरिका की स्ट्रैटेजी फ्लॉलेस है। इसीलिए 2022 में जब कोविड की वजह से अमेरिकन इकोनॉमी
That was not it. It was a political issue. Trump was in power. Trump supported Israel's right to do anything they want. Israel's right to kill the Arabs. He's a racist. He hates Arabs, and thus he supported the war.
सफर कर रही थी तब रशिया ने यूक्रेन पर अटैक किया।
That's not what happened. Russia attacked maybe because of COVID and the political weakening of USA, not the moral weakening, or because they want to make money. They lose money. USA loses money every day when by USA loses money with every ongoing day of the Ukraine war because they have to give them free weapons, they have to give them free ammunitions, armors, planes. They have to train their people. They're losing money. They're not making money. They're not making any money. They're losing money and political power. The Democratic Party that supports Ukraine in the war is losing uh, political influence because of their supporting. On the other side, the Republicans just want to let Ukraine go and just take it over. That's fine. That's fine with them. Trump is okay with Russia taking over Ukraine, meaning both the sides want to end the war. They don't want to prolong the war. It can end either in one or two ways, depending on who you choose. The Democratic Party wants to support Ukraine and reach a peace deal. Republicans want Russia to take over Ukraine, ending the war.
और अमेरिका देखता रहा क्योंकि इस अटैक से ये अश्योर हो गया कि अमेरिका को आने वाले कुछ सालों के लिए एक क्लाइंट मिल गया।
Not a client, it's a support. It's begging. Ukraine begs USA. Ukraine doesn't have money. They loan it or they borrow it. USA is not making money. EU is not making money. The both of them are losing money because of the markets going down. Ukraine was a big exporter of things, I think, like food and stuff, talent. They're losing everything. They're losing those things. War is not how they make money. Ukraine would be the worst example of that.
इजराइल हमास वॉर में भी अमेरिका वॉर रोकने के कोई एफर्ट्स नहीं लेता क्योंकि अगर
And lies again, or lies, or he doesn't understand what he's talking about. Kamala wants to stop the war. Trump wants to kill all Arabs, stopping the war. They both don't care for the war. They both want to stop the war.
वॉर होगी तो मिडल
And Israel doesn't. Israel does use a lot of American weapons, but they also get $3 billion in assistance. They're not making money.
इसमें दूसरे देश जैसे सऊदी अरेबिया यूएई इनसिक्योर महसूस करेंगे और अल्टीमेटली अमेरिका से ही वेपन्स खरीदेंगे। अमेरिका यही
No, Saudi Arabia feels insecure because they have Yemen, Iraq, all those people attacking them. That's why they feel insecure, not because USA wants to sell weapons.
चाहता है। इसीलिए जब प्रेसिडेंट डोनाल्ड ट्रंप पावर में थे तो उन्होंने सऊदी अरेबिया से 110 बिलियन की आर्म्स डील की और इस डील में उन्होंने फोकस सिर्फ एक ही बात पर किया, जॉब्स जॉब्स एंड जॉब्स। अमेरिका का फोकस काफी क्लियर है, वो वेपन्स को किसी भी और प्रोडक्ट की तरह ही देखता है और जैसे कोई फल वाला एक फल एक्सपोर्ट करते समय सिर्फ और सिर्फ प्रॉफिट के बारे में सोचता है, अमेरिका भी सिर्फ अपने फायदे की सोचता है। उससे अपने देश में कितने जॉब जनरेट होते हैं, अपनी इकोनॉमी को कितना सपोर्ट मिलता है, अपना मिलिट्री इन्फ्लुएंस दुनिया भर में कितना बढ़ता है, ये अमेरिका के लिए सबसे ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है और इसी के बलबूते पर अमेरिका एक सुपर पावर बना है। हम ये सारे
I agree with that. Obviously, profit is the first thing that companies think about. Like Lockheed Martin and those top 5 companies, they obviously want clients, more clients. Saudi Arabia, if they feel bad, they feel threatened by other forces in the area, they are gonna buy weapons from somewhere. It's probably their friend, America. But again, it goes against his point that America likes to prolong war. America makes more money with peace because they are on the top. War is sought by the people under, or the second place, or the third place people, like China and Russia. They want war because it disrupts world order. What he forgets is America is winning with peace. Again, he had all the points that he needed to make a conclusion. That is, war destabilizes the hegemony, where he made the point where World War III is the only way India could become a superpower. India is not the only contender. China and Russia can the only way they can become superpowers is with World War III. Russia, USA already wins. They are already winning. Meaning, in peacetime, they are going to be on the top. They're already on the top. They don't need war. They don't need the world order to change. They're fine. Second thing, he talks about proves it, where some of the candidates want to stop war because of humanitarian needs, and on the other side, they want to stop it because of ideological needs. He has showed zero evidence that Ru- America supports war or promotes war.
सारी बातें भारत के लिए इंपॉर्टेंट क्यों? क्योंकि भारत ने कोल्ड वॉर के दौरान नॉन अलाइनमेंट पॉलिसी अपनाई। इसी वजह से इस
There
इमेज
you go, the neutrality from the Cold War time. Love
को देखिए, जहां दुनिया भर में अलग-अलग जगहों पर मिलिट्री बेसेस। ये सारी बातें भारत के लिए इंपॉर्टेंट क्यों? क्योंकि भारत ने कोल्ड अमेरिका एक समय सिर्फ और सिर्फ प्रॉफिट के बारे में सोचता है। अमेरिका भी सिर्फ अपने फायदे की सोचता है। उससे अपने देश में कितने जॉब जनरेट होते हैं, अपनी इकोनॉमी को कितना सपोर्ट मिलता है, अपना मिलिट्री इन्फ्लुएंस दुनिया भर में कितना बढ़ता है, ये अमेरिका के लिए सबसे ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है। और इसी के बलबूते पर अमेरिका एक सुपर पावर बना है। हम ये सारी बातें भारत के लिए इंपॉर्टेंट क्यों? क्योंकि भारत ने कोल्ड वॉर के दौरान नॉन अलाइनमेंट पॉलिसी अपनाई। इसी वजह से इस इमेज को देखिए, जहां दुनिया भर में अलग-अलग जगहों पर मिलिट्री बेसेस हैं, भारत में अमेरिका का कोई भी मिलिट्री बेस नहीं है। लेकिन ये बात अमेरिका को बिल्कुल पसंद नहीं है। अमेरिका का चाइना के साथ कॉन्फ्लिक्ट दिन ब दिन बढ़ता जा रहा है। आने वाले समय में अमेरिका भारत पर मिलिट्री बेस बनाने के लिए दबाव डालेगा जरूर। ऐसे सिचुएशन में भारत क्या करेगा? भारत को साइड चुननी ही होगी। आज तक
When does that happen? With conflict. So who would want a conflict? The other people who are not winning, Russia and China. So it disproves his point of USA wanting war. It's the other side. Russia and China wants war. So India has to align with somebody. It's probably USA or it could be Russia. The best case scenario for them. And them one of those three coming out as superpower after the fact. He has he has the pieces, but he could be misleading or he's just confused. I think it's more of ideological capture because the word he used, the military industry complex, again is used by the far left in America. He he might be influenced by that.
भारत की सक्सेस का यही राज रहा है कि भारत सबसे मिलजुल कर रहता है। हम पुतिन से भी बात करते हैं और जेलेंस्की से भी। इजराइल पर टेरर अटैक होने पर इजराइल को सपोर्ट करते हैं और पैलेस्टाइन में भी ह्यूमैनिटेरियन एड भेजते हैं। ये नॉन अलाइनमेंट भारत की ताकत को सपोर्ट करते हैं और पैलेस्टाइन में भी ह्यूमैनिटेरियन
Second page.
एड भेजते हैं। ये नॉन अलाइनमेंट भारत की ताकत है। लेकिन आने वाले समय में अमेरिका हमारे इलेक्शंस में इंटरफियर कर सकता है ताकि कोई ऐसी लीडरशिप चुन के आए जो उन्हें हमारे लैंड पर उनकी मनमानी करने दे। और उन्होंने पाकिस्तान के साथ
Honestly, they don't have time. They are going through the worst political turmoil they can. Donald Trump is happening to them. I don't think they have time to do that. So it was fact by three. We had three elections, three, four, whatever elections. Same guy won. If they didn't like him, according to him, they would have tried to change us. Who would they? They would change it to Rahul Gandhi. Would Rahul Gandhi not support war? Yeah, I would say so. I would say Rahul Gandhi would support war less than Modi would, because Modi is more of a he's more hawkish. I wouldn't say authoritarian. He's more hawkish. He likes to have influence because he knows if you don't have influence, somebody's gonna have influence. We're also fighting USA, not USA, but China in the terms of our sphere of influence. So yeah. Rahul would be more against it, but he didn't win for 3 times. He didn't win.
साथ यही तो किया था, दोस्ती का वादा किया और अफगानिस्तान में सोवियत रशिया को हराते समय पाकिस्तान की जमकर मदद ली। बदले में उन्हें वेपन्स दी और उनके लैंड पर अपना मिलिट्री बेस बनाया। आज पाकिस्तान का हाल देखिए, जब उन्हें मदद की जरूरत है तो
He is skipping facts. This might be just bad faith. He's skipping facts that Pakistan already took so many bailouts. They already took so many loans that they cannot repay. The interest is just high. They have no hope of returning that ever. So USA UN is basically USA and European Union, as I said. They have to think about, do we want to support Pakistan? Pakistan, who is a puppet of China, the enemy of world order. Do we really want to support them? Do we really want to give them $7 billion that will one day reach in Prime Minister of Pakistan's pocket, and then second day China steals it because they owe so much interest, and they're just stupid with their money. They don't know what they're doing. I don't know why you would make that financial decision of giving $7 billion to a failing friend. I wouldn't, and especially a friend who is in pocket of your enemy.
तो हर बार आईएमएफ के बेल आउट पैकेजेस लेट होते हैं क्योंकि अब अफगानिस्तान में कोई वॉर नहीं है। अब अमेरिका को पाकिस्तान की जरूरत भी नहीं है। भारत के लैंड पर किसी भी दूसरे देश को अपना मिलिट्री बेस बनाने देना भारत के लिए इंडिपेंडेंस गंवाने जितना डेंजरस है।
Okay, stop that. Like, what is he doing? We would lose our neutrality, but it's not the end of the world. UK has USA bases. USA has UK bases. They have NATO bases, and Biden, I remember, like invited us to the NATO coalition. What would that mean? It would it would mean that they would have bases on our land, but we would also have bases in other spaces where we couldn't before. Protect ourselves better. We would be in NATO, obviously, but that would be led by USA, and I would rather not do that. Neutrality is our power. That's how we keep going. We don't lose. He we would choose sides, and because of that, we would lose options, and that's why we shouldn't do it. Not because we would lose our freedom. We would still be free. Norway and Finland and UK are not occupied territories. They are just members of NATO with bases, US bases. They don't lose their freedom. They can still have what they want to.
हेनरी किसिंजर की ये बात मुझे काफी मस्त लगती है। टू बी एन एनिमी ऑफ अमेरिका कैन बी डेंजरस बट टू बी अ फ्रेंड इज फेटल। अगर आपको इस वीडियो से वैल्यू
What do you mean by that? Let's see. Henry Kissinger. To be the enemy of US is dangerous. I've seen often what's told is not, yeah. uh, yeah.
वैल्यू मिली, कुछ नया सीखने मिला तो कैन बी डेंजरस है। हेनरी किसिंजर की ये बात मुझे काफी मस्त लगती है। टू बी आईएमएफ के बेल आउट पैकेजेस लेट होते हैं क्योंकि अब अफगानिस्तान में कोई वॉर नहीं है। अब अमेरिका को पाकिस्तान की जरूरत भी नहीं है। भारत के लैंड पर किसी भी दूसरे देश को अपना मिलिट्री बेस बनाने देना भारत के लिए इंडिपेंडेंस गंवाने जितना डेंजरस है। हेनरी किसिंजर की ये बात मुझे काफी मस्त लगती है। टू बी एन एनिमी ऑफ अमेरिका कैन बी डेंजरस बट टू बी अ फ्रेंड इज फेटल। अगर आपको इस वीडियो से वैल्यू मिली, कुछ नया सीखने मिला तो चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करना ना भूलिए।
I'm gonna say usually Abby and you are really high quality content, but they absolutely dropped the ball. Maybe just Abby, but it was a horrible video, horrible reasoning, horrible facts. There was no facts actually, no facts. There was lying. I don't know how he got here. It was just he's stupid, unimaginable. Again, I just proved it. If USA is the hegemony, and they want to stay a hegemony, they would not want war in their areas, or at least, right? And he failed to prove that USA propagates wars in these areas where it's just not national conflict. India and Pakistan can't stop fighting. I don't know how all these other people are supposed to just be peaceful people. People fight. It happens, and they need weapons. And you have the choice of USA or Russia, China, and I would rather them choose USA. I would I would want them to choose India because we also sell weapons. We also profit from war. So what he's saying is already wrong because we are already doing it. and it's not always war, it's defense. We help India helps southeastern countries like Philippines and Singapore and those people, I think, by giving them weapons, giving them rockets against China. We're we're already doing the same thing.
क्योंकि दुनिया भर की ऐसी ही इंटरेस्टिंग बातें आप तक पहुंचाने से मुझे पार्ट पड़ता है।
Not the truth, really bad, you know. Dislike that.